I'm going to need a fruit cellar. Hello and welcome to the Battling Barrow, and yes, my games are going underground, under the city, and I'm going to need a fruit cellar.
Once in my fruit cellar!
So yeah, my faults are, now my D&D tiles are wallless. That means the wall is implied in negative space. Now, sometimes I want a wall and something to feature upon that wall, and so here is the solution I come up with. That's what I was thinking. So we've got a fruit cellar here, just a tile, which we will go over to make, and I will have this almost clip-on section of wall, just showing where the wall would be, obviously extending on here, the ladder going down, and the floor with a trapdoor above, so I can not attach it, so I can put it on wherever I need to, just to imply it where the ladder is in this fruit cellar. I'm calling that a fruit cellar just for the Evil Dead reference. It is just a mound of earth down below, so it could be anything. But let's crack on and show you how I made this surprisingly simple build. I started with a piece of 10mm thick XPS foam that I cut to be 3 grids squares by 5. This will vary for you. Most likely 3 inches by 5, but I use 1 1/4 inch, something slightly bigger, but it doesn't really matter. Cover it in PVA glue, and then I put over some sand. This is my homemade sort of modelling sand. It has bits of shell in there to give it a nice rough texture. I pile this up into piles, in various sort of mounds and piles rather than just sprinkling it in. And next I will come in with some watered down PVA and just cover the whole bit in so it seals the piles and the mounds in place. There are better products to do this with, such as Geek Gaming's scenic sealant type stuff, but this is just watered down PVA and it will work somewhat just as well. So I'm just going to give it a good coating and then move it all about. Next, this will have a wall, so I'm going to make this out of some textured plastic card, plasticard. You can get this from model railway shops. I'm just sort of working out what size I want it, and I'm going to cut it down to size. With this, I'm just going to undercoat it in black. Now, I'm going to work out where I want my ladder. This will be not fixed in place, I'll be able to move it around. So the ladder itself is just made from like a 1/2 inch thick bit of chipboard. I'm just working out how long it needs to be, taking into account the thickness of the foam at the bottom. So once I've got this done, I can cut this out. So I've cut 2 out, textured it with a wood grain texture, and then I'm cutting little runs out of 6mm thick SBS foam that are also textured. These are like 1 1/4 inch thick, and I'm just going to glue them in place to one side of the ladder run and glue the other side into place. This will also have a floor section with a trapdoor, so I'm just going to get a bit of chipboard and work out where the trapdoor needs to go. It will also have beams that will run underneath the floor, so I'll just make those out of XPS foam and then cut out the hole for the trapdoor, putting aside the piece I cut out because this will actually form the actual door of the trapdoor. Next, I want to add sort of a bit of detail around it, so I'm just going to trace around some cereal box cards and then make it just a smidge wider. This also gets textured up and cut out. We need 2 of these, one for the top and one for the bottom. Next, the actual floor, I will just add in some floorboards and texture them up. And then the frames are just glued into place. Return to the piece I cut out for the trapdoor. I'm going to put in a sort of texture into it, as what we've done already with all the other bits. And glue in a little ringlet to act as the bit that you pull to open the trapdoor. Trapdoor then gets glued into place using hot glue for this, just easier. Just sort of halfway open. putting lots of hot glue in just to secure it. Next up, painting. I'm just going to paint this in the same way as I have been doing my stone walls, and the floor just gets covered in entirely in burnt umber, as well as the ladder. The floor itself gets covered in a watered down burnt umber, and it will act as a wash, and bits of the sand and grit will sort of come through, and so it doesn't cover evenly, so it looks really good. So some bits will be darker, some bits lighter, so no need to dry brush or do anything with it. Nature has done it itself. The wall, I went really heavy with the washes to make it look grimy, and now it's just a case of gluing it all together. So first I'm going to stick the stairs on, and then next the floor just gets glued to the top. I'm just going to do a quick test to see how it handles, and I was wondering if I'd have to do this, and I think I do due to the weight and gravity. Used to be called gravity. What happened to you? I'm just going to need some sort of supports at the back just to help steady it and make sure it doesn't fall backwards. So that's what I'm just using out of sort of offcuts of 10mm thick XPS. The back, once this is all done, I also paint the back black just to look a bit nicer. And then with that, it is done. It all fits around the different places, different sides of the floor, and I have a fruit cellar. Quick, easy and awesome. Before we look at it, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, subscribing and all that good stuff. Thank you to the patrons who make these videos possible. We'll have a look at it. We'll put Hugo here. We'll have a look at it all set up with a little mini scene. And until the next video, guys, stay safe, take care, bye bye.